National Secretary Treasurer, as she shares, reflecting on our proud history and leading the way for the next 65 years.
Good afternoon. What a great weekend we have shared in Fort Wayne. Don't you agree?
Yeah.
We have Meg and Lisa, who are rock stars. Oh, hashtag rock stars. We have heard fabulous DVP candidate speeches. Where are our DVP candidates? Can you please stand? Can your campaign managers please stand? Campaign managers, please stand. Thank you, ladies. Both districts 3 and 5 are so very blessed to have such passionate and such people with integrity to lead this association. You know your districts are in great hands. Thank you very much for stepping up. Thank you for presiding with me. And just thank you for the opportunity to be here. I did a little research on these two. I asked some people, I promised them I wouldn't tell who I asked. So I asked some people some information about your district vice presidents in hopes that I can share a little bit about them, but more importantly, in hopes that you would take the opportunity to get to know them better and invite them to your leagues to share the mission of ABWA. Meg, you're in District 3, so we're going to start with you. Love that. I just roll with it. Meg is an only child. She was born in Hawaii. She moved to Kansas City when she was 3. Meg has always been intrigued with ice skating. And I found that out when the Winter Olympics were on. But what you may not know is after high school, Meg moved by herself to Colorado Springs so that she could train in ice skating, and she worked as a nanny to pay for her room and board. Very inventive at a young age. She's also survived a very stressful layoff with Sprint. She's adjusting to new responsibilities thanks to ABWA, and we know that she is going to excel in those. And for those of you that don't know, she's a big fan of KC Sports. She has a daughter named Shannon, who she adores. If you follow her on Facebook, you can watch all of that. And her husband, Thad, used to be a Marine, and so we want you to tell Thad thank you from us for his service. Lisa has a chair made from a grocery cart decorated with a pink boa in her dining room. I'd like a picture of that myself. I promise not to post it. I got permission to post y'all. I'll witness that. If you ever travel with Lisa, well, first of all, please don't leave her at a truck stop. Yes, we love Lisa, and so we don't want her calling her board sisters to come get her. For those of you that watch the video, we're still waiting to see who left her behind. You know who you are. We just don't know. And so, and if you travel with Lisa, ask her about ordering chili cheese fries. In most places, you get them in one order, possibly as an appetizer. But when you travel with Lisa, you get, or you go to Wise Guys, you get the fries as an appetizer, you get the cheese for a snack, and you get some chili for your main course. But then, of course, you can always use the fail-safe code of, oh crap, the cookies are on fire! It is definitely been my honor to room with them, reside with them, and thank you, ladies. I'm sure there'll be some payback in this.
You thought you were the Chuck Norris of nice.
I am. That's the nice stuff I got. My mother was born in Eufaula, Oklahoma in 1935. She was an only child, daughter of a plant worker, so they moved around a lot. My grandmother was a stay-at-home mom and had always dreamed of being a nurse. So when my mother graduated from high school, married her high school sweetheart, as he joined the Army, they moved off to Reno, Nevada, my grandmother went back to school. She got her LVN and got a job at the Baptist Hospital in Beaumont, Texas. What's so significant about that to me is 10 years later, that's the hospital I would be born at. I was adopted at birth, and my grandmother worked at the hospital I was born at. That is not a coincidence. I'm grateful for that she went back to school, and grateful that she was able to see her dream come true. While in Reno, Nevada, my mother took office jobs. My dad was in the Army, so they got stationed, moved around. They ended up in Houston, Texas. So my mom took a job in the oil and gas industry. After working in that industry for 20 years, she decided to go into business for herself. Because after all, with our organization skills, the contacts we make, and the things that we know that we can do, pay attention to detail, follow through, we can be a lot more successful than the males we work for. So it was so that she started Tri-Light Systems, August of '79. She thought that she could sell materials to the oil rig companies, sell supplies, and use those contacts that she had made in those 20 years. What she didn't understand was that it was a male-dominated field. So after 2 years of struggling to pay bills, to get orders, to make those connections, she gave up. What happened after that was my dad was offered that same opportunity to start his business. He was a four-color stripper. Yes, I said stripper. He's a four-color stripper, and he had a company come to him and say, if you'll go into business and deliver film on a 24-hour turnaround, we'll guarantee all your bills will be paid. If only my mother had known about ABWA. If only someone had done that for my mother. The Good Old Boys Network, ladies, is alive and well. So, with the promise of bills to be paid, they decided to take the chance of owning your own business, the American dream. So, he was successful. They kept their promise. They were a big company. They kept him in business. My mother went back to work in the oil and gas industry. And when my dad decided that he was going to retire after my mother was diagnosed with breast cancer, he came to me. He said, we would like for you to take over the company. What's most significant about that to me is I'm the middle child, and I have all the middle child complex. My brother and sister had worked for my dad for years, but it was me that he knew could keep the company successful, carry on his legacy, but more importantly, make it the company my mother had always dreamed of. I'll always be grateful that my mom had the courage to go out on her own in a male-dominated field. But I'm also convinced that that is what made it much easier for me to be successful. My dad did retire in December of '99. Well, actually, he went elk hunting in Denver, Colorado, and just never came back to work. But that's okay, because I knew that it was really because of my mother. I knew she's really the one that started that process. I knew she was the one that made it possible for me to even own a business. After taking over TLS, after all, that is actually what brought me to ABWA. Taking over TLS Graphics is what brought me to ABWA in 2004. I too was faced with the fact that I joined a male-dominated field, and the male business owners, they weren't up to the task of mentoring a woman. They had no interest in mentoring a woman. The difference is I went on the hunt for mentors. I joined networking groups. I joined chambers. I sought out business mentors. The secret ingredient that I have that my mother didn't is I was invited to an ABWA meeting by 5 women to the same meeting. Once there, I found exactly what I needed. There were women business owners who were willing to mentor me just because I suited up and I showed up. That was it. I made the effort. I went to the meeting. They were willing to mentor me. I knew I was home and unstoppable. I had found exactly what I was looking for. So that brings me to where we are today, and where do we go from here? If you want to see change, I believe you must be the change that you want to see in others. So when looking for a product or a service, we must seek out women-owned businesses and ABWA member-owned businesses. We must seek out those executives for the products and services that we need. When is the last time you actually specifically looked for a woman-owned business for a service or product that you were needing? Do you just go to the local place that you've always gone to and order from the same person you've always ordered from? Have you ever invited that person to your ABWA meeting? Are they a member? Ladies, it is up to us. If we don't invite people to our meetings, how can we grow this association that we are obviously very passionate about? We must be the change that we want to see in others. We must invite people and don't assume that they don't want to come or they already have what they need. Invite them. Invite the women in your everyday life. Your hairdresser, your nail salon, your florist, your attorney, your CPA, your personal trainer. Invite those people to join the greatest association for working women, the American Business Women's Association, and share with them how ABWA has changed your career, has changed you and your community, and what ABWA has done for you. Sharing those stories is what inspires others to reach higher and do more. So I have a little challenge for y'all. Y'all ready? Yes? Y'all like challenges? Well, we know that it is our 65th anniversary, so I would like for each of you here, there's over 100 of us here, so I'd like for each of you to consider spending just $65 over the next 6.5 months leading up to Overland Park with a new ABWA member you've not done business with before, or a woman-owned business. And if it's not an ABWA member, invite them to your lead. So $65, 100 of us doing that, we're going to put $6,500 into the hands of women business leaders in our communities. We can do this. We can do this, ladies. I was going to go that we can do it every month, but I figured I might be pushing it. So, we got 6.5 months to do this. And what I'd really like is for you to post on the President's team board and on your WIN team boards, and yes, we will log in to do this. I'd like for you to post the impact of that, who you met. I guarantee you that most of the time, when you think that you're doing the giving, you're doing the receiving. And we know that you get back so much more than you give. So give the women that are out there the opportunity to be in here. Seek out women business owners, even a printer.
She's a printer.
I'm just grateful that we can do this. We've come so far, but we have so far to go. I look forward to Shannon being able to share in these responsibilities that we hold dear. My daughter Brittany is an ABWA member, and I'm sure all of y'all want your children, grandchildren, to love this association as much as we do. So I just implore you to really specifically look. The online community is great, but ladies, we're here. The face-to-face communications that you make, the face-to-face business dealings that you make, those are so impactful. They last a lifetime. They make friendships forever. So though online shopping is great, and sometimes it's even less, the face-to-face, that's where it's at. That's why we're all here. We didn't Skype into this. We showed up and we suited up. Thank you.